A story of revenge prologue. Alexei and Elena seemed like the perfect couple. They met at the university, where they both studied economics. Their relationship developed quickly. A year later they got married, and 2 years later they bought an apartment in the city center. Alexei worked for a large company, and Elena freelanced to spend more time at home. They dreamed of children, traveling, and a happy life. But everything changed in an instant. Chapter 1. The first cracks. Over the years, the relationship began to change. Alexei spent more and more time at work, and Elena felt lonely. She tried to talk to her husband, but he brushed her off, saying that everything was for the sake of their future. Elena began to seek solace on social networks, where she met Dmitry, an old friend from the university. Dmitry was the complete opposite of Alexei, cheerful, attentive, always ready to listen. They began meeting over a cup of coffee, and then these meetings grew into something more. Elena knew it was wrong, but she couldn't stop. She thought Alexei would never find out. Chapter 2. The deception is revealed. Alexei began to notice changes in his wife's behavior. She began to leave the house more often, was distracted by her phone, and was less interested in their relationship. One day, when Elena went to meet a friend, Alexei decided to check her phone. He found correspondence with Dmitry, which left no doubt about the betrayal. Alexei was crushed. He could not believe that Elena, whom he loved so much, could betray him. At that moment, a rage awoke in him that he had never felt before. He decided that he would not let it go. Chapter 3. The revenge plan. Alexei did not make a scandal. Instead, he began to develop a plan for revenge. He knew that Elena and Dmitry were meeting in a cafe near their home. Alexei hired a private detective to collect evidence of betrayal. He wanted Elena to feel the same pain he felt. At the same time, Alexei began preparing for a divorce. He transferred all his savings to an account that Elena did not have access to and began collecting documents to leave her with nothing. Chapter 4. The end. A month later, Alexei decided it was time to act. He invited Elena to their favorite cafe, where they often went at the beginning of their relationship. Elena, unsuspecting, agreed. At the table, Alexei calmly told her that he knew about her betrayal. Elena tried to justify herself, but Alexei was adamant. He showed her the photos taken by the detective and said that he was filing for divorce. "Did you think I wouldn't notice anything?" he asked coldly. "You were wrong." Elena was shocked. She did not expect Alexei to be so calculating. Chapter 5. Aftermath. The divorce was quick. Alexei used all the evidence he had collected to leave Elena without property or alimony. She was left alone, without money or support. Dmitry, having learned about the scandal, disappeared from her life, not wanting to deal with the problems. Elena tried to start over, but her reputation was ruined. Her friends turned away from her, and the job she loved so much no longer brought her pleasure. She realized that she had lost everything because of her mistake. Chapter 6. Alexei's new life. Alexei, although he had achieved his goal, did not feel satisfied. Revenge did not bring him happiness. He quit his job, sold his apartment, and moved to another city to start a new life. There he met a woman who helped him forget about the past. They got married and had children, but Alexei never told them about Elena. Several years passed. Elena, living in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, accidentally saw Alexei on TV. He became a successful entrepreneur. His family seemed perfect. Elena realized that her life could have been the same if she had not made that fatal mistake. She closed her eyes and tried to imagine how everything could have been different, but the past cannot be changed. Elena was left alone, with the burden of regrets and memories of what she had lost. Chapter 7. Elena's loneliness. After the divorce, Elena found herself in a deep depression. She tried to find a job, but her reputation was ruined. Former friends and colleagues avoided her, and new acquaintances did not work out. She lived in a small one-room apartment, which she rented with her last money. Every day she woke up with a feeling of guilt and regret. One day, walking in the park, Elena met an old acquaintance, Marina, with whom she once studied together. Marina, seeing Elena's condition, offered to help her. "You can't live like this," Marina said. "You need to move forward. Let me help you find a job." Elena, although she was hesitant, agreed. Marina got her a job at a small company where Elena started working as an assistant manager. It wasn't the job she dreamed of, but it was a chance to start all over again. Chapter 8. Alexei's new life. Alexei, having moved to another city, tried to forget about the past. He met a woman named Olga, who worked as an interior designer. They quickly found a common language, and a year later they got married. They had a son, whom they named Artyom. Alexei seemed happy, but sometimes, especially at night, he remembered Elena. He wondered if he had done the right thing by taking revenge on her. These thoughts haunted him, but he tried not to show it. Chapter 9. Unexpected meeting 5 years after the divorce. Elena and Alexei accidentally met at the airport. Elena was flying on a business trip, and Alexei was on a business meeting. When they saw each other, they froze. "Hello," Elena said hesitantly. "Hello," Alexei replied, trying to stay calm. They decided to have coffee and talk. Elena told him how her life had changed, how she was trying to start all over again. Alexei in turn shared that he had a new family and a child. "I often think about what happened," Alexei admitted. "Maybe I was too cruel." Elena nodded silently. She understood that they both made mistakes that could not be corrected. Chapter 10. An attempt at forgiveness. After meeting at the airport, Elena began to think about the past more often. She realized that she still had not forgiven herself for cheating. She decided to write Alexei a letter in which she asked for forgiveness. "I know that my words will not change anything," she wrote, "but I want you to know that I regret what happened. I hope that you are happy." After reading the letter, Alexei sat in silence for a long time. He realized that he too could not forgive himself for his revenge. He decided to answer Elena, but did not know what to write. Chapter 11. A new beginning. A few months later, Alexei and Elena met again. This time, they decided to have a frank conversation. They discussed their mistakes, pain, and regrets. At the end of the conversation, Alexei said, "Maybe we should just let go of the past. We both deserve happiness." Elena agreed. They said goodbye, but this time without bitterness and anger. They realized that their paths had diverged, but that did not mean that they could not be happy. Elena continued working and found a new hobby, painting. She began to paint pictures that became popular in a local gallery. She found solace in creativity and gradually began to forget about the past. Alexei, returning home, hugged Olga and Artem. He realized that his present is his family, and he should value it. They both found their happiness, but the lesson they learned from their story stayed with them forever. Betrayal and revenge destroy, while forgiveness and understanding help move forward. Chapter 12. Shadows of the past. Despite her success in work and creativity, Elena sometimes felt that the past did not let her go. One evening when she was working on a new painting, an unfamiliar number caught her. It was Dmitry on the other end of the line. "Hello, Elena," he said. "It's been a while. How are you?" Elena, hearing his voice, felt her heart skip a beat. She had not communicated with Dmitry since their connection was revealed. She wanted to hang up right away, but curiosity got the better of her. "What do you need?" she asked coldly. "I want to apologize," Dmitry said. "I know I ruined everything. Maybe we can meet and talk." Elena, after much thought, agreed. She thought that it would help her close the last page of the past. Chapter 13 Meeting Dmitri. They met in a cafe where they used to have their secret dates. Dmitri looked old and tired. He told her that after their breakup, his life had gone downhill. He lost his job, started drinking, and only recently decided to pull himself together. And no, I don't deserve your forgiveness, he said. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. Elena listened to him, but felt nothing but pity. She realized that Dmitri no longer had power over her. She told him that she forgave him, but their paths would never cross again. Chapter 14 Alexei's Family Secrets. Meanwhile, Alexei faced an unexpected problem. Olga, his wife, began asking questions about his past. She found old photos of Elena and Alexei that he had accidentally left in a drawer. Who is this? Olga asked, showing the photo. Alexei, not ready for such a conversation, tried to avoid answering, but Olga insisted. In the end, he told her about Elena and their divorce, but kept quiet about revenge. Olga, although she understood that Alexei had a past, felt insecure. She began to wonder if he was telling her everything. Chapter 15 An unexpected letter. One morning, Alexei received a letter from Elena. She wrote that she had met with Dmitri and realized that the past no longer had power over her. She also thanked Alexei for once being a part of her life. After reading the letter, Alexei felt relieved. He realized that Elena had found her happiness, and this helped him let go of his last doubts. He decided to tell Olga the whole truth about his revenge. He explained that he had been blinded by pain and anger at the time, but now he understood that it had been a mistake. Olga, although shocked, appreciated his honesty. She said that the past should not affect their present. Chapter 16 New Challenges. It seemed that everything was fine, but life had prepared a new surprise. Alexei and Olga began to have financial difficulties. The company where Alexei worked announced layoffs, and he was under threat of dismissal. Elena, having learned about this from a mutual friend, decided to help. She offered Alexei a job at her company, where she now held a management position. Alexei, although hesitant, agreed. He understood that this was a chance for his family and decided to leave the past in the past. Chapter 17 Working together. Working at the same company was a test for both of them. Elena and Alexei tried to maintain a professional relationship, but sometimes old feelings and memories surfaced. One evening, after a busy day at work, they stayed in the office until late. Over a cup of coffee, they began to talk about the past. Do you ever think about what could have been if everything had turned out differently? Elena asked. Alexei thought about it. Sometimes, he answered, but I know that we both found our happiness, and that's the main thing. Elena smiled. She realized that Alexei was right. Their past was a part of their lives, but it should not determine their future. A few years passed. Alexei and Olga overcame financial difficulties and became even closer to each other. Their son Arden grew up as a happy child, surrounded by love and care. Elena continued to paint and became a famous artist. She found a new love, a man who appreciated her and supported her in everything. They both realized that life is not only mistakes and pain but also a chance to start over. Their story became a lesson for themselves and for those who learn about it. The past cannot be changed, but you can learn from it and move forward. Chapter 18 Old feelings. Working in the same company brought Elena and Alexei closer than they expected. They spent a lot of time together, discussing projects, and sometimes it reminded them of the times when they were a couple. One day, after the successful completion of an important project, they decided to celebrate it at a bar. Over a glass of wine, the conversation became more personal. Elena admitted that sometimes she missed the times when they were together. We were so young and naive, she said, smiling. But I think we've both grown up since then. Alexei nodded, but there was a shadow of doubt in his eyes. He began to notice that his feelings for Elena had not completely died out. It scared him, because he had a family he loved. Chapter 19 Temptation. After a few weeks, the tension between Elena and Alexei became noticeable. They began to avoid each other, but this only intensified their internal struggle. One evening, when they were late at the office, they had a conversation that changed everything. Alexei, Elena began, I feel like there's something between us, something we can't ignore. Alexei was silent, but his heart was beating faster. He knew that Elena was right, but he also understood that he couldn't betray Olga and Artyom. We can't let that happen, he said finally. I have a family, and I can't destroy it. Elena nodded, but there was pain in her eyes. She knew Alexei was right, but that didn't make her feelings any less strong. Chapter 20 Olga suspects. Olga began to notice changes in Alexei's behavior. He became more withdrawn, often lost in thought, and sometimes disappeared at work until late. She decided to talk to him. Alexei, what's going on? She asked one evening. You've become different. Alexei, not ready for such a conversation, tried to avoid answering. But Olga insisted. In the end, he admitted that he worked with Elena and that there was tension between them. Olga was shocked but decided not to make a scene. She said that she trusted Alexei, but asked him to be honest with her. Chapter 21 Elena's decision. Elena, realizing that her feelings for Alexei could destroy his family, decided to leave the company. She found a new job in another city and wrote Alexei a letter in which she explained her decision. I can't be the cause of your problems, she wrote. You deserve to be happy with Olga and Artyom. I'm leaving to start all over again. Goodbye. Alexei, having read the letter, felt relief but also sadness. He understood that Elena did the right thing, but her absence left an emptiness in his heart. Chapter 22 Elena's new beginning. Elena moved to a new city and started a new life. She found a job in an art gallery and continued painting. Her paintings became popular, and she began to exhibit at international exhibitions. One day, at one of the exhibitions, she met a man named Ivan. He was a photographer, and they quickly found a common language. Ivan was kind, considerate, and supported Elena in everything. She realized that she had finally found a person with whom she could be happy. Chapter 23 Alexei's family happiness. Alexei, despite the loss of Elena, focused on his family. He and Olga became closer than ever. They began to spend more time together, travel, and dream about the future. Artyom grew up a happy child, and Alexei was proud that he was able to create a strong family. He realized that his present was Olga and Artyom, and he should appreciate it. Chapter 24 Unexpected meeting. A few years later, Elena and Alexei met again, but this time by chance. Elena came to her hometown for the opening of her exhibition, and Alexei came there with Olga. Seeing each other, they smiled. They talked about their lives, achievements, and plans for the future. At the end of the evening, Elena said, I'm glad you're happy. You deserve it. Alexei nodded. And you too, he replied. You deserve the best. Epilogue. Elena and Alexei found their happiness, but their story became a lesson for themselves and for those who learn about it. They realized that the past cannot be changed, but you can learn from it and move forward. Their lives went on, and each of them found their place in the world. They knew that their paths would never cross again, but they would always be a part of each other.